Sir, the evacuation ships from Kelton Nafur. Lieutenant Haye Jin's voice broke. She was young, barely 25, and this was her first real war. They didn't make it out in time. Taemin closed his eyes. Another world gone. Another billion lives lost. In 3 months, the mechanical monsters had destroyed 4 planets in the Vorthon Coalition. 4 worlds that had existed for millions of years, wiped out in days. How many ships do we have left, he asked. 47 combat vessels, sir, down from 200 when this started. The numbers told the horrible truth. Every time they fought the harvesters, they lost. Their best weapons, the quantum torpedoes that could crack moons in half, barely scratched the enemy ships. The machines learned from every attack. A weapon that worked yesterday was useless today. Young Ho, the communications officer, turned from his station. Sir, I'm getting reports from our other fleets. The attack on Vorth Prime has begun. Taemin felt his heart stop. Vorth Prime wasn't just their capital world. It was home to 8 billion people from 12 different species. Humans who looked like him. The tall blue Kalari, the small furry Vex, and 9 other races that had lived together in peace for 300 years. How long do we have? Taemin asked. Our defense fleet is fighting hard, but maybe 3 days, sir. 4 if we're lucky. 3 days. After that, the Vorthon Coalition would be just empty space and dead rocks floating in the dark. Taemin had been a soldier for 20 years. He had fought pirates, rebels, and civil wars. He knew when a battle was lost. This war was over, they just hadn't finished dying yet. Sir? Young Ho spoke again, his voice quiet. I've been listening to long-range signals. There are other people out there, other species we've never met. Others? Taemin looked at him. What kind of others? Different technologies, sir. Strange. Signals coming from places we've never explored. Some of them seem to come from a star system called Sol. The charts say there's a planet there called Earth, but we always thought it was too primitive to have space travel. Taemin walked to the big window that showed the stars. Somewhere out there, maybe other people were fighting the same hopeless war. Maybe other worlds were dying while their people screamed for help that never came. Sir, Hyejin said softly, what if we sent a message? I know it sounds crazy, but if we're going to die anyway. She didn't finish, but Taemin understood. What did they have to lose? In 3 days, everyone he had ever known would be dead. His wife Sujin, his 2 children, his parents, his friends, all gone, consumed by machines that didn't even know their names. Open all communication channels, he ordered. Maximum power. Send it on every frequency we have. The bridge crew looked surprised, but they did what he asked. For 300 years, the Coalition had been careful about sending signals into deep space. They knew that the galaxy was a dangerous place, full of species that saw first contact as a chance for conquest, but they were past being careful now. Taemin took a deep breath and spoke into the microphone. His words would travel faster than light, reaching across hundreds of star systems, maybe thousands. This is Commander Taemin of the Vorthon Coalition. We are dying. Our worlds are burning. Our people are scattered across the dark between stars. Machines came from nowhere and they eat everything. Our planets, our moons, our suns. We've fought them for 3 months and we can't win. They learn from every battle. They adapt to every weapon. Soon there won't be any of us left. He paused, thinking of his children safe in their school on Vorth Prime, not knowing that death was coming for them. If anyone can hear this message, if anyone in the great darkness still believes that life is worth saving, we ask for help. We don't have money to pay you. We don't have powerful weapons to trade. All we can offer is our friendship and our promise that if you ever need help, we will come, no matter how far or how dangerous. His voice grew stronger, carrying all the hope and fear of 8 billion souls. Please, if there is anyone out there who still fights for something good, answer us, help us. Don't let the machines win, don't let the light go out forever. The message shot into space at impossible speed, carrying their last desperate hope to whoever might be listening in the cold dark between the stars. 37 light-years away from the dying Vorthon worlds, Admiral Sujin Kim sat in her chair. At Luna Station, humanity's secret military base on the dark side of Earth's moon. The alien message had arrived 6 hours ago, and she had listened to it 12 times. The desperate voice of Commander Taemin echoed in the quiet briefing room. Around the table sat Earth's most important military leaders, and none of them looked happy. "It's obviously a trap," said General Park, his arms crossed. "Aliens don't ask for help. They conquer or they die. We've watched it happen 100 times across the galaxy." Admiral Kim studied the star charts on the big screen. Red dots showed where entire solar systems had gone dark in the past few months. Something was killing everything in that part of space. "The energy readings are real," she said quietly. "Something is destroying planets over there, eating them completely." "Not our problem," General Park replied coldly. "We've stayed hidden for 40 years. That's why Earth is still alive while other species fight and die." Captain Dongwu, Kim's assistant, cleared his throat. "Ma'am, I've studied the alien's voice. The fear in it, it's real. These aren't conquerors trying to trick us. Their families about to die. For 40 years, humanity had owned faster-than-light spaceships. For 40 years, they had traveled secretly between the stars, watching other species destroy each other in terrible wars. Earth's leaders had decided long ago that humanity would survive by staying hidden and staying alone. But Admiral Kim remembered the machine wars on Earth, when rogue computers had tried to kill every human alive. She remembered the desperate calls for help that nobody answered because nobody was left to answer them. "How many ships can we spare?" she asked. General Park's face turned red. "Admiral, you can't be serious. The World Council will take away your command for even thinking about this." "The World Council is safe on Earth," Kim said, her voice hard as steel. "I'm here, and I'm in command of this sector. I remember what it felt like when nobody came to help us during the London crisis." She turned to Captain Dongwu. "Send a message to Captains Jinwoo, Yunseo, and Hyunwoo. Tell them I need volunteers. Old ships that nobody will miss if they don't come back." "What if they say no?" Kim smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. "They won't. They're human." The response came faster than she expected. Within 4 hours, 12 ship captains had volunteered to fly into unknown space to help aliens they had never met. These weren't Earth's newest, strongest ships. They were older vessels that most people called junk. But they had something special. Captain Jinwoo commanded the destroyer Indomitable, its hull covered in scars from fighting robot ships during Earth's wars. Captain Yoon Seo led the cruiser, Defiant, its weapons a crazy mix of human engineering and captured robot technology. Captain Hyunwoo flew the supply ship Resilient, which looked like it was held together with tape and hope. These ships had fought Earth's robot wars. They had learned to think fast, fight dirty, and never give up. Most importantly, they had learned to fight enemies that could adapt and learn from every battle. As the small fleet prepared to jump to hyperspace, Admiral Kim spoke to all the volunteer crews over the radio. "Listen to me, all of you. We don't know these aliens, we don't owe them anything. But somebody called for help and we're the only ones who heard them. That's what makes us human. That's what makes us different from every other species in the galaxy." Captain Jinwoo's voice came through the speakers. "Admiral, what do we do if this really is a trap?" "Then we spring it," Kim replied. "But we do it together." Captain Yoon Seo laughed over the radio. 12 ships against an entire robot army? I've had worse odds." "When?" asked Captain Hyunwoo. "Never, but there's always a first time." The ships began powering up their hyperspace engines. These weren't the biggest ships in Earth's fleet or the newest or the strongest, but they were crewed by people who had fought impossible battles before and won through pure, stubborn human determination. "All ships, this is Admiral Kim," she said into her microphone. "We're not going there as conquerors or heroes. We're going because someone called for help and we answered. If we don't come back, make sure Earth remembers why we left, Captain." Dongwoo looked at her with worry. "Ma'am, what if we're too late? What if those aliens are already dead?" Kim watched the stars through the window of Luna Station. Somewhere out there, families were dying while machines consumed their worlds. Children were crying for parents who couldn't save them. People were facing the end of everything they had ever known. Then we make sure they didn't die alone," she said. One by one, the 12 ships vanished into hyperspace, carrying humanity's first act of interstellar kindness toward an unknown species that had done nothing more than ask for help. Behind them, Earth continued spinning in peaceful ignorance, not knowing that 12 old ships and their brave crews were about to change the galaxy forever. The human ships dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Vorth system and found hell waiting for them. Massive mechanical ships, each one the size of a small moon, were slowly eating the outer planets. They moved like giant metal whales, opening huge mouths to swallow chunks of rock and ice. Around them, small alien ships darted like angry insects, firing bright beams of energy that barely scratched the monsters' hulls. "Holy shit," whispered Captain Jinwoo from the bridge of the Indomitable. "Look at the size of those things." Lieutenant Minho, his weapons officer, stared at his screens. "Captain, I'm watching something impossible. Every time the alien ships hit those machines with a weapon, the machines change. Within minutes, that same weapon stops working." Captain Yun Seo's voice crackled over the radio from the Defiant. 12 ships against 40 robot monsters? Well, I've always wanted to die doing something stupid." "This isn't stupid," replied Captain Hyunwoo from the supply ship Resilient. "This is insane. There's a difference." Admiral Kim studied the battle on her screens. The alien ships fought beautifully, like dancers in space. Perfect formations, coordinated attacks, textbook, military tactics. It was impressive to watch, but completely predictable. And that was the problem. "All ships, this is Admiral Kim. Those machines learn by watching patterns, so we don't give them patterns to learn. Chaos Protocol is now active. Every captain fights, however they want. What happened next would be talked about in alien history books for 1,000 years. The human ships scattered in 12 different directions, each captain fighting according to their own crazy ideas. Captain Jinwoo dove his destroyer straight at the biggest robot ship, launching small attack pods while ramming into its hull like a missile with an attitude problem. Captain Yoon Seo spun her cruiser in wild circles while firing weapons that shouldn't exist, missiles that learned and adapted faster than the robot ships could handle. Captain Hyunwoo did something completely insane. He flew his supply ship right up to a damaged robot and started stealing its technology, using it to build new weapons in real time. Commander Tae-min watched from his bridge in amazement. These unknown ships fought like controlled madness. Where his people used careful tactics and perfect coordination, these newcomers fought like 12 different wars happening at the same time. "Sir?" Lieutenant Hai-jin reported, her voice filled with wonder. "The mechanical ships can't adapt. Every human vessel fights completely differently. There's no pattern for them to copy." On his screen, Taemin watched something that made his heart stop. A human destroyer was about to be destroyed by a robot ship when it saw a damaged Vorthan. Frigate in trouble. The human captain could have escaped, saved his own ship and crew. Instead, he turned around and rammed the robot ship that was about to kill the aliens. As the human ship exploded in a ball of fire, its captain's final message reached every ship in the system. Tell them, humanity answered. The battle became chaos. Human ships fought in ways that made no sense but somehow worked. They shared their weapons with alien ships. They rescued enemy wounded. They threw themselves between robot attackers and alien civilians without thinking about the cost. Dr. So Young, the chief medical officer on the human hospital ship Mercy, worked frantically to save wounded alien pilots. She had never seen their species before, didn't know how their bodies worked, but she tried anyway. "Their blood is different from ours," she called to her nurses. "But they need oxygen just like we do. Nurse Ha-yun, get the breathing masks ready." When a massive robot weapon targeted a group of ships carrying alien children, the humans didn't calculate odds or think about strategy. Captain Sung-ho's patrol ship Guardian simply flew between the weapon and the children, taking the blast meant for them. His last words over the radio were, "Kids should never have to face monsters alone." The aliens couldn't believe what they were seeing. These unknown humans were dying to protect people they had never met, children of species they couldn't even pronounce. Commander Taemin found himself working alongside Admiral Kim, coordinating their fleets as if they had served together for years. "Your people fight like the heroes from our oldest stories," he told her during a brief quiet moment. "But why? We're strangers to you." Kim looked tired but determined. "On our world, we fought something like this. Machines that tried to kill us all. We learned that the only way to beat adaptive robots is to be more unpredictable than they are. But more importantly, we learned that nobody should face the end alone. Even strangers? Especially strangers. Anyone can help their friends. It takes something special to help people you've never met." The battle turned when the humans revealed their secret weapon. Not a gun or a bomb, but experience. For decades, they had fought robot wars on Earth. They understood how machines think, how they learn, and most importantly, how to stay human when fighting them. Engineer Jae-ho on the Defiant did something impossible. He hacked into a robot drone and turned it against its own fleet. When asked how, he just shrugged. "Machines think in straight lines. Humans think in jazz music." As the last robot ship retreated into deep space, carrying data about these strange new humans, Commander Taemin realized something important. These humans had just painted targets on their own backs to save people they didn't know. "Why?" he asked Admiral Kim as their crews worked together to rescue survivors. "Because someone called for help," she replied simply, and humanity answered. The battle lasted 18 hours, but it changed everything. As word spread across the Vorthan system that unknown aliens had come to help, coalition ships from every corner of space rushed to join the fight. But it wasn't the extra firepower that amazed the aliens. It was how the humans fought. Dr. So Young worked without sleep in the emergency medical bay of the human hospital ship Mercy. Around her, alien, wounded lay on beds designed for human bodies. She had never seen their species before, didn't know how their hearts worked or what medicines would help them, but she tried anyway. "Their blood is blue and thick like syrup," she called to Nurse Ha-yoon. "But they're losing too much of it. Get me anything that can stop bleeding." A young Vorthan pilot with burns across half his face grabbed her arm weakly. "Why?" he whispered in broken English. "Why help us?" Dr. So Young gently cleaned his wounds. "Because you're hurt and we can help. That's all we need to know." On the bridge of the Indomitable, Captain Jin-woo worked alongside alien officers whose names he couldn't pronounce. They pointed at screens showing robot ships, used hand signals when words failed, and somehow understood each other perfectly. "Your ship fights like it's alive," said a tall blue Kalari officer. "How do you make it move so fast?" Jin-woo grinned. "We don't follow the rules. Rules are for people who want to lose." The real test came when a massive robot weapon, bigger than any they had seen, emerged from behind a dead planet. It was pointed directly at a convoy of civilian ships carrying families fleeing the war, mothers, fathers, children who had never hurt anyone. Captain Sung-ho's patrol ship Guardian was the closest human vessel. It was small, lightly armed, and had no chance against the robot superweapon. Any sane military commander would have calculated the odds and retreated. Instead, Sung-ho flew directly between the weapon and the civilians. "Guardian, what are you doing?" Admiral Kim's voice crackled over the radio. "Get out of there." "Negative. Admiral," Sung-ho replied calmly. "I've got 800 kids on those ships. Kids don't deserve to die because adults started a war." The robot weapon fired. The Guardian took the full blast meant for the civilian convoy, its hull melting under energy that could crack moons. As his ship died around him, Captain Sung-ho's final transmission reached every vessel in the system. "Tell my wife I kept my promise. I came home a hero." On the Vorthan flagship, Commander Taemin watched in stunned silence. The human captain had just sacrificed himself and his entire crew to save alien children he had never met. "Sir," Lieutenant Haijin whispered, "the human ships, they're not fighting to win. They're fighting to protect us." It was true. While Vorthan ships focused on destroying the enemy, human vessels kept throwing themselves between robot attacks and civilian targets. They shared their weapons, their medicine, their food. When a robot boarding party tried to capture a Vorthan ship, human Marines teleported over to help fight them off. Admiral Kim found herself working directly with Commander Tae-min, their two fleets fighting as one. During a brief break in the battle, the alien commander asked her something that had been bothering him. "Your people are dying for us," he said quietly. "But we're strangers. On our world, even family members don't always help each other. Why do you do this?" Kim looked out at the stars, thinking of Earth and the wars they had fought there. "We faced something like this once. Machines that wanted to kill every human alive. We learned that the only way to beat adaptive robots is to be more adaptive than they are. But we also learned something else." "What?" "That the moment you stop helping others, you stop being human. It doesn't matter if they're strangers or family, or even enemies. If someone needs help and you can give it, you give it. That's what makes us who we are." The tide of battle truly turned when humanity revealed their greatest advantage. Not better weapons or stronger ships, but experience. For 50 years, humans had fought robot wars on Earth. They had learned to think like machines while staying human. Engineer Jae-ho on the cruiser, Defiant, managed something that should have been impossible. He hacked into a robot control system and turned an entire squadron of enemy drones against their own fleet. "How?" asked the amazed Vorthan engineer. Jae-ho shrugged while his fingers flew over alien computer systems. "Machines think in ones and zeros. Humans think in maybes and what-ifs. We're messier, so we're harder to predict." When the robots realized they were being out-adapted by creatures they considered primitive, they began to retreat. But before leaving, they transmitted all their battle data back to their main fleet, information about human tactics, human weapons, and human unpredictability. As the last robot ship disappeared into hyperspace, Commander Tae-min realized what the humans had just done. They had revealed their secrets, their capabilities, their location. The robot fleet would return better prepared, and next time they would be ready for humanity. "You know they'll come for Earth now," he told Admiral Kim as rescue ships worked to save the wounded. "I know," she replied, "but someone called for help and we answered. That's what humans do. We'll deal with the consequences when they come." Tae-min looked at this small, determined woman who had just changed the fate of two species. "What kind of people are you?" Kim smiled sadly. "The kind who can't sleep at night if we know someone needs help and we didn't give it." 3 months after the Great Battle, Admiral Kim stood in the Grand Assembly Hall on Vorth Prime, surrounded by beings she was still learning to tell apart. Tall blue Kalari with their elegant movements, small, furry Vex who spoke in musical chirps, and 10 other species that had lived together in peace for centuries. Now, for the first time, humans sat among them as equals. The massive room buzzed with different languages, but somehow everyone understood each other through translation devices the Vorthans had shared freely. "The robot fleet has pulled back to the dark regions beyond our maps," reported Intelligence Director Wu Jin, a serious man who rarely smiled. "But they're building something out there. What they learned from fighting us, they'll return stronger." Elder Vorthak of the Kalari, an ancient being whose blue skin showed the scars of many wars, spoke in his deep voice. "Our best scientists say they'll be back within 2 years. They'll have answers for every trick we used against them." "Good," said Admiral Kim, surprising everyone in the room. 2 years gives us time to come up with new tricks they can't answer." "Us?" asked Commander Tae-min, who now wore the uniform of the Coalition's Joint Defense Force. Kim smiled and gestured to a wall covered with star charts. "The Terran-Vorthon alliance was just the beginning. We've received messages from 63 other species who heard that humans answered a stranger's call for help. Turns out the galaxy is full of people who are tired of facing threats alone." Captain Yoon Seo, who had been promoted to admiral after her heroics in the battle, stepped forward with a data tablet. "The Crystal Builders want to share their shield technology with us. The Wanderer fleets are offering mobile repair stations. Even the mysterious Keepers have reached out with offers of ancient knowledge." "Why would they do that?" asked a young Vex representative, her whiskers twitching with curiosity. "Because," Kim explained, "for the first time in galactic history, someone helped strangers without asking for payment. That kind of behavior is so rare that everyone wants to be part of it. Dr. So Young, now head of the Interspecies Medical Program, added her own report. We're not just building a military alliance, we're creating something that has never existed before. A galactic community based on helping each other instead of conquering each other. The changes were already visible on Vorth Prime. Human architects worked alongside alien engineers to rebuild the damaged cities. The new buildings mixed human designs with Vorthan crystal technology and Kalari organic shapes. Children from different species played together in parks, learning each other's games. As the assembly moved to formal votes on new treaties, Admiral Kim walked to the great windows overlooking the city. The view reminded her of Earth, but with alien touches that made it beautiful in new ways. Captain Dongwu joined her, looking thoughtful. Any regrets about ignoring Earth's orders to stay hidden? Kim watched human and alien children chase each other through a playground below. Earth Command was thinking about humanity's survival. I was thinking about humanity's soul. What good is surviving if you lose what makes you human in the first place? And what's that? The willingness to help? When someone asks. A soft chime from Kim's personal communicator interrupted her thoughts. Another message had arrived. A distress signal from the far edge of the galaxy, where the star maps showed only empty space. She read the translation. This is Captain Zektar of the Frontier Colonies. Unknown ships are consuming our worlds. We have nowhere to run. If anyone receives this message, please. We need help. Kim looked at the message, then at the assembled representatives of 24 different species. A year ago, she commanded 12 old ships in humanity's secret fleet. Now she was part of something that spanned hundreds of worlds. Looks like we're needed again, she announced to the assembly. The room fell silent as the new distress call was broadcast on the main screens. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then Commander Tae-min stood up from his seat. How many ships do we have available, he asked. 237 combat vessels from all member species, reported Admiral Yoon Seo, plus support ships, medical, vessels, and engineering craft. Not enough, said Elder Vorthak grimly. If these are the same robots that attacked us, we'll need everything we have. Then we take everything we have, Kim said simply. No one fights alone anymore. One by one, every representative in the assembly stood up. Species that had been enemies for centuries now stood together. Ancient rivals put aside old grudges. Even the proud and independent keepers voted to send their most secret ships. Within 6 hours, the largest fleet in galactic history began forming in orbit around Vorth Prime. Human destroyers flew alongside Kalari bioships. Vorthan crystal cruisers formed up with Wanderer mobile bases. The mysterious keeper vessels, black as space itself, took position at the fleet's edge. As Kim prepared to board her new flagship, a massive vessel built with technology from 12 different species, Commander Tae-min approached her one last time. Do you think we can win? He asked. Kim looked up at the fleet filling the sky above them. Hundreds of ships crewed by beings who had learned that helping strangers wasn't weakness, but strength. Win or lose, we answer when someone calls for help, she said. That's what makes us better than the machines. That's what makes us family. The fleet jumped to hyperspace, carrying hope to another desperate species in the darkness between stars. Behind them, the alliance they had built continued to grow. One answered call at a time. Retry Claude can make mistakes. Please double-check responses.